So Zohran Mamdani, all right, is taking a huge lead. Cuomo conceded, bro, and he's far left. He's further left than me for sure. But when it comes to electing Andrew Cuomo, Mr. Sexual Abuser, Mr. Anti-Semitic, racist, corrupt Democrat, had to resign from the governorship, supported by the entire establishment. When it comes to him versus Zohran, and the way Zohran campaigned, Zohran every day of the freaking week. Democrats need to understand, I don't care what ideology you are, your campaign, your rhetoric needs to be like Zohran. And I saw Zohran talk on MSNBC a few weeks ago, and the way he hits point after point after point after point, you can tell he has it. He has the ability to be an amazing politician. He's going to be around for a long time. All right, he's a great orator. He knows how to speak. He knows how to respond to questions and to reframe them in a way that benefits him. He's really good at politics.
The results are coming in what could be a real-time referendum on the future of the Democratic
and game got to respect game, game got to respect game.
Party. Many analysts see New York City's mayoral race as a litmus test between establishment Democrats and the younger, more progressive wing of the party. CNN's chief data analyst, Harry Enton, is with us at the table now. Harry.
I can't stand this guy, by the way.
Whoa, yeah. Okay, tell us where we are right now.
I mean, look. Mamdani is ahead by plenty at this point. You can see on your screen right there, that's a 7-point lead right now in terms of the first round votes. Now, obviously, New York uses a ranked choice voting system where essentially you eliminate all the candidates, you reallocate their ballots because the folks who get a ballot will rank their candidates 1 through 5, and you essentially reallocate the votes until one candidate gets at least 50%. But I will tell you this, if you look on your screen, you see the third place candidate, Brad Lander, cross-endorsed with...
Yeah, so all the points from Lander in the advanced rounds are going to go to Mamdani. So the fact he's up by like 9% right here. So most pollsters, 99% of people thought Zohran would be down the first round for sure. It might be close. He might be down 1 or 2%, whatever it might be, but he might be able to pull ahead in ranked choice voting further on in the process. But the fact that he came out and he's winning by 9% in the first round is so huge, so consequential, huge refutation of the Democratic establishment. It's actually insane. No one expected this. And you may as well take Brad Lander's vote. He's another progressive and add it to Zohran's total to see the real strength in this election of the progressive candidates.
Mamdani, most of his votes are very likely to go to Mamdani, and not a single pre-election poll that I saw had Cuomo getting anywhere near the type of support that he would need once those ballots reallocated. That lead will almost certainly stand up, and that is why I do believe that Cuomo has conceded the Democratic nomination.
And he's called Mamdani to concede, which is extraordinary.
Let me tell you this.
Extraordinary. Okay, think about this, though. Donald Trump still refuses to concede the 2020 election. He is using the presidency to lie about the 2020 election, trying to hire special investigators or whatever, special counsel to go after saying the 2020 election was actually stolen, still to this day. All right, after January 6th, after everything, Trump is still saying it's fake. A Democrat, though, even as bad as Cuomo is, how corrupt this Cuomo is, the scandals Cuomo has been a part of, okay, the things he has done, he still graciously came and addressed the public. All right, he did not run from the stage. He addressed the public. He gave credit to Mamdani, even if it was fake. Even if it was fake. That's part of democracy working. He calls him, gives him congratulations. Cuomo, it's bare minimum, but still, big credit for him just coming out and saying, I lost. He's probably suffering inside. He lost to a nobody. That's what the report said. Cuomo is not used to losing to a nobody with no name recognition. But at least, the worst Democrat will concede any election and call you saying congratulations. Republicans, though, oh no, you better open up a whole new 50 copycat websites of 4chan to host all the conspiracy theories they are going to make to try and say they won the election. Look at the North Carolina Supreme Court race that was extended like 6 months because the man could not handle losing to a woman in North Carolina. It's crazy, bro. But yeah, shout out Cuomo for actually conceding.
Study New York City politics in my entire life. The only New York City primary that I think is tantamount to this in terms of the earthquake is 1989 when David Dinkins came in and defeated Ed Koch, who was running for a 4th term for mayor. That is the type of earthquake that we're seeing here, and he's done it. He came into this race down, 30, 40 points to Andrew Cuomo, the former governor, who everyone thought was a huge favorite. Apparently not. He did it by activating younger voters, by activating very liberal voters, by cutting into Andrew Cuomo's base with black voters. The bottom line is this. Mamdani is now a force to be reckoned with in Democratic politics nationwide going forward.
Joy,
And I'll tell you what, okay? I know I'm not really a capitalist or a socialist. I don't care about that kind of stuff. But even if his economic policies don't work, and many liberals tell me his economic policies are going to suck, I don't care, okay? I don't want to grow for the point of growing. When we see every single indicator that humanity is collapsing, our mental health is falling apart, we have the inability to distinguish a reality from fiction, AI is taking over at an incomprehensible speed, we need to slow down. Okay, if things work out with him and the policies work, we're going to have a more people-centered future where the rich are held in a little bit more and people have a chance to be a little bit more free with better public services, okay? If he's wrong, at least we have someone to fight against the AI Trump dystopian regime, okay? Well, we are facing the possibility of a stable dictatorship under AI surveillance. We need people that are going to fight. I don't care if their policies are wacky. I don't care. If they're likable, if they can campaign, if they're a good politician, we will vote for them. We will run them. No more Chuck Schumers. No more Hakeem Jeffries. If it's going to be Zohran, if it's going to be a socialist or a democratic socialist, it's going to be them. All right? Whoever can get the job done. We need to stop being all strict on this. Oh, his policies aren't going to be perfect for the per capita growth of the housing market's going to... Dude, if no one enjoys living, if we create a world where no one enjoys living, I don't care about optimal GDP and economic growth. I don't care about the optimal levels of GDP or the optimal levels for capital investment. Okay, I want to make sure if we're going to be building on some foundation, capitalism, it produces a lot. But I don't want us to be working to support capitalism and a kind of capitalism that's producing only to take that production and use it to build the AI surveillance state dystopian dictatorship. Okay, so Zohran, I'm not as far left as him, but 100% full endorsement. I really hope he wins in New York City.
You talked to him on Friday.
We had him on the show on Friday. We also had Brad Lander on, and Brad Lander talked about being tackled by ICE agents as he was trying to defend immigrants. What Mamdani said that I thought was really extraordinary, he would be the first immigrant mayor of the preeminent immigrant capital in the United States, a city that is a sanctuary city where people are still being accosted at their immigration hearings. And so I think just symbolically, I think this is a message about people.
And he's young. He's young with a good smile. All right, young with a good smile, beautiful wife. I don't think he has kids yet, but yeah, he's young. He's aggressive. He knows how to campaign, bro.
Their immigration hearings. And so I think just symbolically, I think this is a message about people's revulsion in the treatment of immigrants by this administration, and about the ways in which the Adams administration has been complicit in that.
I think
that's
a little
part
bit,
of what's
Joy,
made him
from your
popular.
interview with him,
Sure.
where he talks about this. Let's listen.
Well, yeah, now it's going to be Eric Adams, the current really corrupt New York mayor, cutting deals with Trump because he's very corrupt and took like bribes and the worst things you could do as a politician. Okay, the worst possible things you can do. Then he had to deal with Trump, where if he gave ICE full reign of New York City, then Trump would take away his charges or whatever. So Eric Adams is going to run independent against Zohran. It might be a 1v1 match against them. Someone said Cuomo might run independent, but if you have Cuomo and Eric Adams at the same time, they will split the vote, and that'll help Zohran. So there's no way they'd do that. But yeah, okay. It's good to see. Good to see this going on. Kamala Harris's daughter is at the Mamdani party. Bro, that's the thing too. Kamala Harris's daughter or stepdaughter, okay, Ella Emhoff, she is at the Mamdani party. I'm telling you, bro, when you saw Kamala's family wearing like Palestine pins, guarantee you Kamala was saying that stuff about Palestine and stuff to relate to Biden. I think she would have taken a shift on it. I'm not saying she would have been perfect, but everyone around her wanted to have a drastically different approach on Palestine. I don't want to get too caught in that, but the fact that Kamala's whole family is in that direction kind of keys me into what she actually believes. But again, what a politician actually believes versus what they do is going to be very different. But anyways, Zohran Day.
You know, I would be the first immigrant mayor of this city in generations, and I would be proud to be that, but even prouder for what I would actually do. This is a city of immigrants. We've said for so long, 40% of New Yorkers were born outside of this country. And yet what we've seen in the current mayoral administration, and even in Andrew Cuomo's campaign, is an insufficient readiness to actually take on Donald Trump and protect New Yorkers. One of the things we should be proudest of in New York City are our sanctuary city laws. These are laws that have kept New Yorkers safe for decades, been defended by Republicans and Democrats alike for that time period until the demagoguery of this current mayor. I would proudly stand up for those laws.
So he's talking there also about Eric Adams, who we haven't really talked about because he's not in this primary, but is expected to run on another line in the general. This will be an indictment on Eric Adams, too, and his willingness to, I guess, in the words of Mamdani, stand up to Donald Trump.
There's no one happier after Mamdani and his family than Eric Adams tonight, because everyone over 50 years old who remembers Times Square in the 1970s and the 1980s when you couldn't walk through, it was all pornography and crack and muggings and rapes and robberies.
What?
Everyone who remembers
Zohran
that
Mamdani
is going to vote for Eric Adams. The New York Times, who didn't do an endorsement, did say, please don't vote for Mamdani, as did the Daily News, as did the New York Post. So anybody who knows how bad New York can get all came out against Mamdani.
Why? What policies are going to make that happen in New York City? Okay, what policies are we talking about here? To send New York back to the 70s and 80s, bro. The amount of victim mentality and the hysteria from Republicans nowadays, they are paranoid. They need help, bro. They see things every single day. You know, if they served, I'm sorry. I respect that you have PTSD from that. But I have people in my life who have self-induced PTSD from being on social media too much, all right? They're on social media too much. They believe crazy shit about the world, all right? They think every city in America is burnt to the ground right now. But yeah, dude, what did Zohran do or say to suggest we're going to go back to that in New York City?
Donnie, because a 33-year-old with zero experience running anything except a little office with 5 employees should not be running the city of New York.
Donald Trump is president of the United States. His experience was being on The Apprentice. He's head of the Pentagon. His experience being a weekend anchor on Fox. Are you kidding me? He's got Dr. Oz is in his administration.
Honestly, bro, a 70-year-old man with zero experience is much worse than a 30-year-old with minimal experience. Okay, with at least enough experience. The fact Donald Trump was in his 70s or whatever, and he never ran a big organization, he never actually did a hiring process or a strategic planning session or a policy planning session. The fact he was an overblown brand rep the entire time, bro. That's what I'm trying to tell people too. If you think the concept of it's basically, if you think the concept of a Muslim immigrant democratic socialist becoming the Democratic nominee for mayor in New York City, if you think that's weird in a world where Jeffrey Epstein's best friend, nepo baby, serial abuser, complete just stupid person, you know, Donald Trump, reality TV star Donald Trump, think about this, okay? Whenever they say that Zohran's story is crazy, democratic socialist, blah, 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 Donald Trump, reality TV star, is currently the most powerful person in the world, leading the charge of possible global fascism. I'm sick of hearing Democrats talk like we need to stay inside a box to win elections. There's a different populist and popular messaging campaign that works really good right now that Zohran ran on, that Bernie ran on, that AOC ran on. If any Democrat, I don't care what your ideology is, if you campaign like that, you're going to have a huge boost in numbers, I guarantee you.
You're leaving out something. He's a 33-year-old socialist who's never run a popsicle stand.
He's literally in city government right now. Sorry, after Donald Trump, I'm sorry, after Donald Trump and his pinky in the brain administration, no one ever gets to talk about qualifications
Socialism
again.
will not save the
bottom line
capitalist
is,
capital of the
what
world.
I want to ask you a question. What is your evidence that Mamdani would return New York City to the 1970s hellhole Times Square? What is your evidence of
It's
that?
very simple. So he wants to raise taxes on people who make the most money. What eventually is going to happen is you're going to lose that tax base. Once you lose that tax base, our bonds will get degraded. Now,
Classic propaganda from the ruling class. You make a bunch of money. You say, oh, if you tax me more, I'm going to move. They never actually move.
The city budget will not be substantial enough.
In fact, under de Blasio, which is a mayor who rose taxes, New York City got more millionaires, okay, throughout that process. A couple percent points is not going to make your big taxpayers leave New York City, of all places.
To subsidize not only the cops, but the fire department, the sanitation department. Once you start losing Wall Street and people who pay $11,000, $12,000 a month to live on the Upper East Side, you're done.
Let me ask
and
you.
you go back to the 70s when Gerald Ford said,
Not
to
Wall
New
Street.
York, drop dead.
Okay, but
and
hold on,
Arthur.
But Arthur,
Go back to the 70s, bro.
just as somebody who is just listening to you, you raise the taxes on wealthy people in this city, maybe a couple percent, right?
They're already at 50%.
Yeah, they're already,
53%.
and that's exactly my
Which is
point.
where they're
already paying some of the high.
Did you hear what I said?
I know, Arthur, but Arthur, they are already paying right at this moment some of the highest taxes in the country, and you think that 1 or 2% is going to cause a mass exodus out of New York?
How did you say this?
Bro, such a good point. Logically, his argument does not follow. Why would they move? If they move based off a 1% increase in taxes, they have a bad tax person, okay? And they're pretty dumb. And they were going to move from New York anyway.
I just want to be clear
there.
that that's what you're saying.
It already
because I
started.
think that seems pretty extreme.
Because he's also not going to focus on crime. Right now, you have Police Commissioner Tisch and John Chell, the chief of the department. Crime in the city of New York, right now is set to break all records as the lowest ever in recorded history for shootings and murders. Once that starts going up in the other direction.
Wait, lowest ever? I thought that New York City had the highest crime rate of any city in human history. I thought New York City, if you walk inside, you just blow up. Like, you just die walking. I thought New York City was literally the biggest combat zone in the world. So New York City has all-time low crime rates now, and Zohran's going to ruin it. You see how the narrative changes so quickly to fit whatever they want to say?
And the tax base is gone, and sanitation is gone, and schools are gone.
Okay,
Why would crime go up?
Hold on. Last thing I will say, and then I'll let you in, Anna. Last thing I'll say, and then I'll let you in. Under Eric Adams, crime did go up in the city.
And then went down.
Yes, but
that was during the pandemic. And migrants.
Exactly. But I'm just being clear. Crime has already gone up in New York, and it has come down. So even when crime went up in New York, there was perhaps some departure, but there was not a collapse of the tax base in New York City. Okay, Anna, go ahead.
Okay, so I am not a New Yorker. I live in Miami where we don't have.
Yeah, all these people who have all these penthouses in New York City, have this entire lifestyle, have the entire stock exchange, all these people so ingrained in New York City as an economic hub. Yeah, they're going to go leave for Austin, Texas, bro. That only works if you're like a comedian. Okay, or if you're a tech company that needs a lot of land that you can pollute and you want land for like solar or whatever else, you can go to Austin if you have a special deal with government contracts. But for these sectors, they're not going to leave New York City. Where are they going to move to? Like there's no comparable city for these like finance workers and everyone to go to.
Have 50% tax rate.
Like I've already
we have.
Now you would see a switch in population if like one area had a 90% tax rate and one area had a 10% tax rate, so super big extremes. But you're not going to lose out in the New York experience and the New York economy and the whole New York project for like a 2% tax increase on any money you make over $1 million, all right? You're that rich, you don't even notice the money's gone, I promise you.
We have our share of insane elections and insane politicians, but this reminded me, you talked about the Dinkins election. To me, this reminded me of the AOC versus Joe Crowley election, where there was this establishment sacred cow who thought that because of his name and because of his pockets, he could walk into it. And there was a young upstart who put a lot of leather and a lot of footwork. And
by the way, watch AOC's documentary on Netflix. AOC's documentary on Netflix kind of goes through the process of her campaign and goes through the process of how she became representative. It was a huge upset, really close to what this one was. So she was supposed to maybe barely win or lose by a little bit, but she blew him out. So like good documentary to watch. I forget what it's called. It's on Netflix though. Put it in chat. By the way, drop a like, comment, subscribe. If you're watching back on YouTube, do those things as well. I do a call-in YouTube show every night. I stream to YouTube Shorts So if you want to call in, you can do that soon. But yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, drop a like, subscribe, join me for a stream sometime. Thank you for watching.
And
boots on the ground.
And boots on the ground, and did it. And so, you know, I would say when it comes to New York, do not underestimate the sweat of these folks. And by the way,
he won. I'm not underestimating.
I would just say this.
And I would not have voted for him.
If you were saying that Eric Adams is the person who's loves this result the second most compared to after Mamdani.
He'll be the anti-Mamdani.
But I will say this. The people who hate this result the most are the Democratic establishment. We have seen poll after poll after poll showing Democratic voters fed up with.
By the way, on the topic of are the rich people going to flee, the voting spread, are the rich people going to flee? Think about it. Are the rich people going to flee? Like, over $100,000 went Mamdani plus 13. $500 to $100,000. Mamdani plus 6. Under 50,000. Cuomo plus 19. Okay. Now I will say for that lower bracket, some people make the claim that that they vote for Cuomo and moderates because progressives can't deliver or whatever. But it's more of a social topic. You watch mainstream news more. You also believe in social issues. You don't care that much about progressive topics as much as you do if you have like a college education. So that's probably what we see here. But even wealthy individuals right now in America, they see where things are going. All right. They know they have enough products from Amazon. They have enough housing. They have enough houses and penthouses, and they have enough properties, rental properties, real estate, whatever. Like these very rich people in America. And I mean, it's not really very rich, but let's say over $100,000. If you're pretty well off, like you realize right now in society, we need to come together and make our communities better. There is no more just me. I make money and I'm going to do well. We need our entire society to move in a certain direction, or we are all screwed. If we cannot come together for the precipice of the new AI generation, we are all screwed. All right, and I think many people agree with that and can see that.
With their leaders in Washington, fed up with their leaders in government. And all of a sudden, Andrew Cuomo, who 5 years ago was leading those COVID, press conferences, was this guy who was held up in such high esteem. And now all of a sudden, the best he can do is what, 37%?
62% of Democrats.
They were talking about
62% of Democrats say that they're
So Republicans had the Tea Party. This is the Chai Party taking over the Democrats. And I run campaigns for Republicans all over the country.
Crazy,
if they turn to 33-year-old socialists who've never run popsicle stands, that's great for us. We'll win a lot of elections.
So can somebody explain this to me?
Yes, dude. Run the craziest candidate you can find. After Donald Trump's brain dead dumbass Jeffrey Epstein hugging, probably little girl touching. I never said that. Donald Trump never did that. Donald Trump did say he wanted to have sex with his own daughter multiple times while looking at her in a lustful way. But I know conservatives don't care that Donald Trump lusted after his own daughter. Because they vote on issues like the deficit, which the deficit is doing terrible right now. Trump wants to add more to the deficit than any president in American history right now with the big beautiful bill. When it comes to Gaza, that war is a lot worse. Ukraine, that war is a lot worse. Iran, we know what's happening there. So everything that Trump people, I don't even know what's going on. I think they voted for Trump because they like P. Diddy, because Trump was best friends with P. Diddy, and Trump was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein. So
I mean, now, so this could end up, so Cuomo could end up running as an independent. Adams ends up as an independent, and then this guy.
It ain't over, folks. Yeah, they might run as independents. It's okay. Good win. Great win. I'm happy this style of politics won. Okay, we need this style of politics. I don't care who it is, bro. Democrats got to stop running like they're at a wine tasting, like they're at a consultant dinner, like they're talking to like wealthy suburban moms. Like there's a way that you could run politics that's aggressive. You don't need to be a socialist to run a campaign like this. I'm not a socialist. I am not a socialist. You do not need to be a socialist to run a campaign like this. And I hope Democrats take notes. And I hope more Democrats start losing, like Hakeem Jeffries. I hope someone primaries him for fun. Primary him. Please primary Hakeem Jeffries if anyone's out there who can do it. All right, yeah.